So hello and welcome to episode 12 with me and George, my business partner. Today we're going to cover some things on a bit about one of the last episodes that George done recently about setting standards. We're going to go over a couple of stories, one in particular with me and what happened to me a few years ago. Everything was great. I thought everything was great. I thought I could just sit back, money was coming in, business was running okay. And then boom, something happened. And it nearly changed my life forever and my business life forever. I nearly lost everything. What did I do to make sure that never happened? I nearly threw the towel in. But I said to myself, I need to get this done. I need to do this. I need to set my standards higher. I need to learn every single part of the business. I should have probably done that at the start, but I thought it was great. I thought, he'll get it. It's fine. Try to make myself busy every day, try to do this, try to do that, and then the harsh reality, it wasn't. So, yeah, we're going to dive into a couple of stories, a bit about business success, what George has done in his business and what we've done together over the past couple of years. So let's dive right in. You know, a lot of things that's happened to me over the years and probably tried to tell me, but I wasn't listening. You know, I thought everything was great.
Yep.
I'm like, it's fine, you know, like Chris will get it, or this guy will get it, or I'm fine, I'm just looking after the refurbs, it's cool. You're like, no, you need to kind of get your finger out here, you need to learn every part of this business. It doesn't matter who's doing it, because if anything happens, you're going to be left with it, you're not going to know.
It's cliche, but things become cliche because they're right, and life gives you lessons, and you sometimes don't like the lessons, you don't like what you're being told.
Yeah.
Right, but if you pay attention, and it opens up the goals and dreams that you've always wanted. Yeah. But sometimes that is a harsh and brutal lesson, and a lot of people face this is that it's usually a dent on their ego. We all have ego, so it's not that it affects people that are particularly egotistical, but it's other people might call it pride. So it's an attack on your pride, and what happens is we all have particular traits, and those particular traits are extremely positive, but we also have traits or characteristics that don't help us. And one of the best testing grounds to find out where they're at is when you go into the world of business, because you can't hide or shield against, oh, it was them, that's not my job, that's somebody else's department, I done blah blah blah. You can't cop out in business, because whether you're right, you get the credit. If you're wrong, you get the credit. So it lands right on you. Yeah. There's a sequence of things that you've done over the years that we'll see if we can demonstrate what that is. Yeah. So when you started out, what was it like? What was your perception of, like, going back then and looking through your, like, the lens then? What was your idea of getting set up? What was the way that you thought, this is how it works?
Getting a business partner was one of the things that I thought you had to do. I didn't think you could do it alone. So getting into the property business, teamed up with a guy. Thought it was all great, and he was doing his bit, I was doing my bit, and I thought I was busy, but in harsh reality I wasn't. So
what was the harsh reality? Like, you wouldn't have thought it then, but you now know.
We'll probably get into that part further down the line, but just to kind of go over the first part, like, I was like, he'll get that, it's fine. I'll make myself busy. I'll just go out and see how the refurbs are going. That's my job. But if you're a business owner, you need to know every single moving part of that business, because, for instance, if he's doing that part and you're doing that part, what if this is what happened anyway, like, what if he isn't there anymore?
Yeah.
You've got all these clients, you've got all these refurbs, you've got all the clients' money, you're sourcing deals, but at that point where that happened to me, like, I didn't know this, and I had to very, very quickly learn that.
Why did you think you didn't know it?
I'm not saying I didn't know it. I probably knew kind of the overview of how it all worked, but It wasn't something that I was doing on a daily basis.
Why didn't you know it to the extent that you needed to know it?
Because I didn't put the work in. I didn't push myself. I didn't set my standards high enough. I thought, oh, it's fine, he'll get it.
So why did you have that? Why did you have that idea that was okay at that time?
Just getting into the business, that's the way I thought that worked, you know. I thought that it's fine. That's the way it is.
Because that sounds like you're an employee.
Yeah.
As in, I go into this big machine, somebody's going to take care of that part and I'll take care of this part. That's no business. You're the whole thing. You're the whole kit and caboodle. And if someone's partnering up with you, great. But it's like if you know, if you don't have anyone you can operate, and if you have someone, then that's great, but it's not the be all and end all. That's why companies have employees, because each employee has a different role, and that combined power makes up the whole machine. But if they are themselves, they can't operate the machine because they require someone else.
Yep.
So it sounds more like that was the setup. So it's interesting that you had that view. It seems like there was a mismatch between what you thought business life would be like versus what the reality is. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
So like, where do you think that mismatched expectation came from?
I think that's all I knew, to be honest with you. All I thought I knew.
Right.
I know you obviously told me that this could all crash, this could all go bang, if you didn't actually get your finger out and start fucking learning everything, you know. So I can remember the day it happened, like the day that my business partner said it was going his separate ways. I was driving home from up north, and I just thought to myself, fuck this, I'm just going to throw the towel in here. Like, everything was going great, like the money was coming in, business was great, I wasn't doing much, he was doing his part, I was doing my part, brilliant. I thought that's the way business was, soon to find out it wasn't. And I says to myself, like, what's the point? He's gone now. I need to go and do all this work. I shouldn't need to do all this work. I'm a business owner, you know? And
so you were saying that you shouldn't need to do this work because you're a business owner. What did that mean?
Yeah, like, because you think you're higher than you actually are, you know?
Yeah.
And it's easy for people to get into that trap.
Yeah.
Like, people are even just starting out and they see a couple of pounds coming in and they go, oh, I'm the big businessman now. And it can just all go like that. And I thought that's what was going to happen. But again, you had to. What I had to do was I had to start learning the full business very, very quickly. I had to do that in the space of probably a couple of months to keep this business going. If I didn't do that and didn't put the work in and didn't learn every single part of how this machine operated.
What was that like? What was it like taking that sort of, you know? It's
not easy.
I don't know how you would best describe it. You're taking this sort of shock, this change in perception. I always remember Gerard Eady, who owns C.R. Smith, years ago said to me, he's like, Geo, people that put themselves on pedestals, which is put themselves on a higher level than they actually are. He says people that put them on themselves on pedestals fall off. I was like, that's a fucking really good lesson. I was always lucky to be around guys that were twice my age, you know, really experienced. So I was absorbing so much information because I didn't know. I was wet behind the ears, and I got all these sort of great wisdom that they passed on because they had been and done it. They were in the trenches, and that's a classic case because you'd put yourself on a pedestal. You were like, what do I need to do this for? I'm like, that's his job. I don't need to do that. I'm a business owner. Money's great, life's great, and then wham. And I could see it. I could see far out because your perception in business when you started was, right, you partner up with someone, you get everybody else to do the work, and you are the guy at the top that just takes in the money. And I was like, this is not going to end well, right? Because what happens, and you can to a degree get away with that if you're a business owner and you're employing people because they feel that they have a role and that role's got limits. As in, well, I come here, I show up, I give you this much time, I do this much work, and you pay me this. It's an employee role. But when you've got someone that you've partnered up with where you're like, hey, we're going to muck in together and we're going to work hard together and we're going to share the fruits of the labour, what was happening was you were taking less and less and less responsibility and hoping the slack was picked up on the other side.
Passing the buck.
And it was the case of, well, it didn't stay at the same level. It was widening in terms of, like, your perception was the better that partnership was working, the more slack you wanted to take. Like, the more you were like, well, look, then great. The pedestal, they were going higher up the pedestal. And I'm like, I'm taking the years and years of experience. I'm like, this will not end well.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things.
One of the best things that's happened to me, but in my career, you know.
What did we say? Life gives you lessons that you don't like at the time, but you come out the other side if you pay attention to the lesson. Yeah. What was it like going through that initially?
You want to throw the towel in, like, every day, because you're constantly battling against something. You're constantly trying to learn something that you don't know well, try to run the business. And you've only got a short space of time to do that, as I said. So
how long did you have?
Some days you're getting up and you're going, is it worth it? Is this all worth it? But
what was the question? What was the answer to that question?
Never give up.
But what was the doubts must have been strong if you were feeling that way.
Yeah, definitely. It's like,
there's people out there that are doubting themselves, right? They've all experienced doubt. What would you say to them? Because you've had a lot of doubts there and they've been strong.
Yeah.
And the risk is arguably, probably the biggest risk at that point in your life where you go, you were a fork in the road and you were loaded with doubt. What would you say to them if they were there with that kind of doubt?
You need to have the grit and determination to just keep pushing on every single day. I know a lot of people haven't got that, but if you have got that in your locker, like, you'll come out the other end very good. Maybe not unscathed, but you'll come out the other end with a lot of tools in your tool bag. Something that we always go on about. Every time you're learning something, it's just another thing in that tool bag. And going back to what you said there, like, what would you say to people? You need to just keep battling on, because there's no point in giving up. And I had that in my locker anyway, with what I'd done throughout the years of, like, business and being a obviously employee, moving into the business world, things not working out my way, and just maybe 2 steps back, 1 step forward, you know. So you need to have that in your locker to just grit, determination, get the head down and just keep ploughing on. And there's one big massive thing that I didn't want to do, and I didn't want to let anybody down, especially my family, my wife, my kids. If I gave in, what does that look like on me with them?
Would you have let them down?
Absolutely not.
No, I'm saying, if you threw the towel in, do you think that they would have seen that as you letting them down?
They probably wouldn't, but that's what I would have thought. You know,
why did you think you would have let them down?
It's been always been in my mind with business. Like, I think that's one of the things that pushed me forward, and get it's got me to that point where I'm at. Is if I don't do this, I'm going to look stupid here. I'm going to feel as if I've let everybody down. Goes back to a thing that I think me and you spoke about the other day, where people getting all the flashy things. These guys that were getting all the flashy things, and then they're back down at there, and everybody's like, "Remember that flashy cunt? Look at him now." I don't want to be that guy, you know. So, and that's all about keep pushing on and learning every single day and building your business and not giving in.
Yeah, I mean the thing that I would say about the flashy stuff is that if you do well, it's nice to reward yourself. It's one of the greatest drivers that you'll get to push on. Is that you see some fruits of your labour. The difficulty with that is not going overboard. And you definitely don't want to attach your identity. So a lot of people do this where they attach who they are to this image that they project. It's usually the flashy things that they have, whatever they may be. But if you need to, like, if something happens, something unexpected, like you're describing here, something unexpected happens, you make a wrong turn, you have a deal that doesn't go your way, the market takes a massive shift, and then you're up against it. You need to wind in the spending. Go down to Rob and sell the Rolexes. You need to get back to right. I need to take a couple of steps back here, and that the very first place that you get rid of the fat is the flash. But a lot of people, if you attach identity, you're like, well, I don't want to look bad, and everybody will know that I've had to take a step back. And this is the beauty of not making that your identity. Be something more than just the toys and the flashy stuff. So that gives you the opportunity, like if you do need to take a couple of steps back because tactically that's the right move, then you can do it without feeling that you're losing or you're going to look bad or that situation. Because like if you take the story about the guys in the battle that burnt the boats, I was thinking about what you were saying there, and there's two ways of doing it, right? There's two ways that you overcome massive doubt in yourself, right? The first one is that you need an ultra strong reason that's more than that doubt. The reason that you should push through is more than a doubt. That's normally loved ones, people that you care about. You're not letting someone down, like your clients that have trusted you, right? That's powerful, right? And that's more powerful than the flash, toys, money, all that. So that's a huge driver because it's the human connection, like bits of metal and watches. They're just material things. But when you've got a connection with someone who's put trust in you, that means a lot to you, right? And you don't want to let them down. And that same with your family. The other thing you can do, which is a huge driver that you get over doubt, is give yourself no choice but to make it. Right. Burn the bridges. So these guys went to battle and burnt the commander gave the order to burn the bridges. He said to his men, burn the bridges. This is why we burn the boats, sorry. Why are we burning the boats? He says, because we're given no option but to win here. We're either winning and we're not leaving here. So we're winning or dying, right? Because we're not going to retreat and go back on the boats. They're the two reasons that if you put yourself in those places, then you can do it. Now, the caveat I would say to giving yourself no choice is if tactically the right move is to take a step back, then there is a place for that. And that's why you don't want to attach your identity to the flash, because you want to be able to pivot if needed, so that you can go, look, hey, I can take a step back, I can move to the side and I can take 2 steps forward because I've hit that block there and I can move. Right, so there's the things. But for you, it sounds like you were very much driven by, you had a higher desire to not let down the people that had put faith in you, like your family and the clients that you were dealing with.
Definitely. At the end of the day, like we were that far into the business and things were running and we had a lot of clients, so there was no choice, like, you know what I mean? You can't just turn around and say to clients who have paid money for a service, like, listen, Chris is our business partners, we separate ways, we're just going to leave it. So there's that thing inside me where I don't want to let even the investors down or the clients down, not just family, you know, so like, thank God it happened.
In terms of this is something that a lot of people understand, and they'll, you know, when they look at the situation, they'll go, I get that. So normally what happens is a situation unfolds and you have denial, right? You have denial that it's you, right? And you blame whatever it is, the person, the situation, the employer, whoever. It's always somebody else's fault. And at some point later on, you then realise that it wasn't them. And then you start to think, who was it? Then you get to acceptance where you go, shit, that was me. Like, how long was that period for you where you went, oh?
Probably the first 2 days after it. Because when you take a step back and look at it and you go, shit, I've got a lot to do here.
Well, it's like the pedestal. You put yourself up on the pedestal and then you get knocked off the pedestal and you go, who the fuck knocked me off the pedestal? You went, well, what were you doing up there in the first place? You should have never put you were no right being up there.
Exactly.
And then you realise, you go, that was me. The reason that I fell is because I put myself up there.
I mean, with that one thing that happened, that has catapulted me like 2, 3, 4, 5 years in front of myself right now, with like knowledge and understanding of what the markets and investors and refurbs and whatever it is. Because if I was still in that place that I was in, thinking I knew everything, doing as little as I possibly could every day, that would have been a catastrophe for me, you know, like, where would I be at this point? I'm still sitting there thinking I knew everything. So that point of that happening has catapulted me through my business years and knowledge and understanding of how to run a business, how to make things work, how to see the markets, how to source deals, etc., you know.
What would you say to someone out there that's had you know, maybe they haven't realised that it was them, like they had the part to play, right? Something's happened. What advice would you give to them? And from your experience of going through something like that where you've realised, hey, look, I'm the problem. because that's hard. And a lot of people, like, how many times do you see people that go
above themselves? Yeah.
Well, they've maybe got the raw talent, but their ego is blocking them because they have a perception that it should be this way, and they've just not got to terms with it isn't the way that they think, and the ego keeps telling them, no, it should be this way, you've deserved it, you're right, and then they hold on to that. I mean, I've seen people that are like 20, 30 years into the same mistake and so stubborn that they won't accept, hey, look, life's giving you the lesson here, and if it's staring you right in the face and everyone knows it apart from you.
Yeah. I think the big thing for me and something I've screwed into the side of my head is you need to learn every single part of something that you're going to be trying to do, you know. In the past, I was just, as you said, like, I'll get him to do it, I'll get him to do it, I'll get him to do it. It was a great idea, but I was just getting other people to do it instead of doing it myself. And it's something that I've done ever since that day that my business partner left me, was everything that I'm going to do moving forward now in this business, I'm going to do myself first. So that if I'm bringing somebody in, I can show them how to do it and I know how to do it. Whereas at the start, it was like, right, let's partner up. I'll do this bit and you do that bit, instead of me figuring it all out first, you know. And things as simple as when we started up the management company, I learned every single part of that system, how it worked, how you set up a property, how you put sheets in a bed, everything.
Well, people, like, this is the thing, this is the bit about pivoting that we're talking about, and I think it's a really good point, is you came from a place where, stop me here if you think I'm talking out of turn, but you came from a place where I remember you saying something to me, I remember thinking, this is going to hit you, it's square in the fucking eyeballs and you don't know it yet. And you said something like, yeah, but as a business person, what you do is you get everybody to do everything for you and you just sit back. And I thought, you have not a fucking Scooby what this thing is about. And somebody's said this to you, suggested this to you. And I knew that whoever fucking suggested to you hadn't clapped a business person's dog, right? Never mind being a successful business person.
It wasn't just me. It was like, I think a lot of people think that. Get into business.
Nobody that's been in business knows that.
Yeah.
Because the whole deal of being in business is that you start a business, you've got a job that you're really good at. So you've started this business that was something where you've got a talent, and you've got 100 jobs that you know fuck all about. Like, so and this is the thing, you end up doing everything.
Yeah.
And then ideally what you do is you go through that cutting your teeth process, and you're burning the midnight oil, you're doing what it takes, you're hustling, and then you get to the point where you get there. Right, and then you can bring somebody in and then you teach them, but you've had such a baptism of fire that you're now operating at that level. You continue to learn, continue to develop, because you always think, what if this goes wrong? What if I can't get this done? What if I need to do this myself? What if they need to take a holiday? So you're in that mode of constantly learning, developing, getting faster, and then when you get in that mode, you start to expand. You can get more people in because you're doing well. That makes you more efficient. But your mindset isn't, hey, let me take the foot off the gas. Your mindset is, right, if I don't make sure everything's on point, this all goes backwards. So you constantly push forwards. That's the mode of a great business person. They constantly develop. They constantly look for where could it go wrong. And then if it went wrong, how would I fix it? Could I fix it? Do I understand enough about it? And that was what happened to you. You were like it was mirror, mirror on the wall. Like, you can't do it. You need to go and have a steep learning curve because you've not picked up the ball. But you've went from, right, I'll bring people in, I don't need to do anything, or I need to do very little, or I just need to appeal that I'm doing something.
I've got the idea. Instead of, that's what I would say to a lot of people that start out, like that part where at the start that happened to me, don't do that then. Yes, that's you probably can do that in your business further down the line, but at the start, don't come up with an idea and then just get other people to do it. Hustle at the start, put the work in, learn it all first, give yourself a couple of years of knowing every single aspect and part of your business, and then start bringing people in, teaching them and getting them to do these parts.
Well, look at, for instance, Elon Musk. Elon Musk, the richest guy in the world, right? He puts in more hours than just about anybody, like 14, 16, 18 hour days. And he's like, I work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep. He could never work another day in his life and spend £1 million a day and still have money. right? And but
It's
does it
ingrained in it.
why is someone like that, right? Someone like that who's through any lens of business people made it. So how have you got a group of people that say, when I make it, everybody does everything for me and I just collect cash and spend it. That's my life. And you've got arguably one of the most successful business people on the planet is doing 16, 18-hour days, sleeping in his office, who's going like this. That they too don't line up, right? And one of them has success and the other ones don't, right? And the ones that don't are telling you this lullaby, and the one that has got success by the measure of wealth has the most of it.
Yeah.
So that's the real kind of signpost where you go, look, what do you think you should be doing? And that's what most people go into. So if you have advice for people that are going through there, that have that perception, they don't want to hear this.
No.
Right? You wouldn't want to hear. You didn't want to hear it.
No, 100%.
So how do you get that across to them?
It's difficult, you know. Like, people think, as you said, like, they don't want to hear it. They think you get into business, you get everybody to do everything for you, and you just sit back and go to Tenerife and sit in the sun with pints and collect the money in. It's definitely not like that, you know. So people are starting out in business. You need to put the work in.
Right, so they're not going to want to hear it, right? So they might not hear this, but you're going to. There's a harsh reality coming if they get in this situation. Then when that harsh reality hits, their ego is going to kick in and let them blame it was them, it was the employees, it was the supplier, it was the market, anybody but them, right?
That me?
Yes,
Was me.
it was you, right? But this is what I'm saying is like your particular traits where, right? I've got a great idea, which is good, but I'll get everybody to do it for me, which wasn't so good, right? So you had a great idea, but a bad standard, right? The next thing was, right,
that first part works, but it doesn't work for you. So if you have got a great idea and you've got a great business model and you bring people in to do their parts, and what if they go away? What are you going to do? You know,
Yeah.
it maybe work, but it'll not work for you.
the way you could do it is you could do it in an employee owner capacity. You could do it in that way. But you to get that, the reason that business people start out doing it and teaming up with people is that generally employees will only have a certain degree of importance or they'll not work as hard as the owner because they don't have as vested an interest. Like, so they're not getting benefited by working hard. They're getting paid to completing a service or a task. That's what their role is. So they've got no reason to go over and above. Where if you buddy up with someone who has the same vested interest, they'll work harder and go the extra mile because they have the same interest as you. Where that falls is when one of you are doing more work than the other. That's when that dynamic falls apart because people get very, very pissed off if they're doing more of the work or doing the lion's share of the work, and then someone else is just living the Gallus lifestyle.
Yeah,
that's where you get
disconnect.
that's where the disconnect happens. And that's difficult because the trap is, right, if you do well and you team up with someone and you really start to get motoring, then you're going to get success, you're going to have money, you're going to have the desires that if you think I've made it, well, we can enjoy it. We've put on the hard work, so let's enjoy it, right? And then if your mode is, well, I just get people to do things for me and I can go and enjoy myself, now that's really pulling that dynamic of right, you do the work and I'll go and do X, Y, Z, and this is where you get the tension and why partnerships break up. It's one of the main reasons, not them all, but the thing that we bring back to is that a lot of people will end up in that situation but not understand it's them.
Goes back to standards as well, something that you touch on a lot. Like, see if you are that person who I used to be and just pass it on to everybody, what are they going to think about you? Like, see if you're a top businessman in your game and you know everything and you're telling people what to do and you're maybe bringing people in and saying, like, this is what I've done, instead of going, listen, I've got this idea, I want you to go and do that. You're like, fuck you, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's all about how people see you as a person and a business person as well. Because if you're just that lazy guy is sitting back and going to Spain twice a month and just passing all the work to everybody else, they're going to get pissed off, you know. So it's not all about just you, it's about how other people look at you as well, I think.
Here's a question for you. Like, you ask me all the time, like, why do you still do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do you ask that question? Like, what makes you ask that? What do I do that makes you question it?
Well, it's like anything else. Like, a very, very successful business, you probably could just throw the towel in the day and say, I don't need to work anymore, but you've got that drive and determination, and you're putting the work in every day still. So it's some people maybe look at that and say that's a bit disconnected there. Like, this guy could just sail off into the sunset, go to Spain and live, or with the feet up and enjoy himself. But he's got everything he wants. He's got the money. He's got the car. He's got the houses. He's got whatever. Money's coming in. Probably doesn't need to work, and the money will still come in. But he's still going for it every day.
Yeah, I think to myself, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm teamed up or partnered up with someone or dealing with a company or a business, and someone I don't know if anybody puts the same level of hours in. Because when I speak to people that are in that line of business, well, there's a good one. Like, I would think that's
back to that.
That's the standard that I want to set. I want to get to the point where people go. I get asked a lot, how do you fit everything in? People are bewildered. How do you cram everything in? Well, because the standard that I've set myself is to be like that Elon Musk sort of standard of business person, where you want to, if it's good enough for Elon, it's good enough for me.
People don't see the work, but people put in. It's like, even though last night I was sitting at my computer at 10 o'clock last night, still preparing for today. You know, and I said to my wife, I'm like, I need to do this because we're obviously going away for a couple of days with the kids. I said, if I don't do this tonight and get prepared for tomorrow and do the work that I need to do, I'm going to need to work when I'm away instead of taking a couple of days, you know. So people don't see that hard work that you need to put in. You need to make that choice, because a lot of people say, I'll just chill out with the wife tonight. Like, I need to get downstairs and sit with the wife. But if you want to be successful and you've got something to do, no matter what time it is, you need to fucking do it that day. You need to get it done. And if that takes you sitting in front of your computer to 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, so be it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these are the things, that doesn't square away with the initial perception that you had, which was just get everybody to do it for you and you chill.
The switch is flicked on the other side for me, because, as I said, the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life and business is my business partner leaving. Because if that never happened and we were still doing what we were doing, I would be a slog, sitting there just chilling out and getting people to do stuff for me. You know, so if you are that person and you've got a business partner, get your fucking finger out, you know, learn every part of the business that you can.
I can't imagine the size of moobs you would have had at this point if you kept in that life. This is the thing, is like, people don't realise, like, I'll go on about physical fitness and they go, why are you so big on physical fitness? And apart from the obvious endorphins and you physically are strong, psychologically you get that edge where if you're out doing something that's hard, the weather's cold, it's wet, the conditions are rough, right? You're tired, you're sore, it's blowing a gale outside. Why would you go outside and train? Yeah. I'm like, because I'm putting myself in that resistance where you don't want to be,
it's a big part in business,
I'm pushing all the time. So see, when something comes up, and most of you would go, oh, I don't know how. I'm like, well, I've been out training my mind to deal with situations where
that definitely helps. Like, see, if you've got that part in you and you're setting your mind up to, like, I'm training today and that's it, that snowballs into maybe an action you need to do in your business. Like, if something comes up and you say, I'll do it tomorrow. If you're doing that other stuff in other parts of your life, the switch flicks and you go, right, I'm just going to get it done.
Yep.
You know, and it's good because, like, see, if you do this and you put the work in, you can help other people that are in that situation. I've got some friends that are starting businesses and stuff, and the things that they're going through now, but I used to be me.
Yep. What sort of things? Like, what are they doing? That
like running about, answering phones. Like, I've got a good friend, Stuart. Like, vans breaking down, staff letting them down, and on the phone all the time. I'm like, I can see you and me now.
Yeah.
And I'm going, that used to be me. And see, giving them the wee pointers, like, everyone's fine. See, if you just keep working, mate, and putting the work in, you're going to come out the other end of this. Don't give in.
Yeah.
You know, and it's good to do that with people, because I'm like, I used to be you. I can see me in you just now, you know. And it's mental.
Aye. I mean, you see it, and this is the thing. I mean, this is the reason why we do it. I mean, like I'd said in the last episode, setting your having awareness of your current standards and how they relate to your goals. That's the very first thing that you'll see that there's a mismatch in. So you either need to reduce your goals to your current standards, or you need to increase your current standards to your new goals.
Yeah.
And when you hold yourself to a higher standard, you're going to do that. Do it on the small things, like make your bed before you. That's one of the things that the Navy SEALs teach. Make your bed.
Yeah.
Because no matter how bad a day you've had, you go back to your bed and it's made, and you've achieved something. You made that, you know, a nice, presentable item to come back to, so that you at least got a win in your day. Like, and hold yourself to higher standards, because it will improve. And not only that, you're helping other people raise up their standards, because they're seeing that you're setting the standard of how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's that constant sort of progression, and take money and wealth and material things and toys out of the equation. The things that make us happy in life is when we feel that we're growing, we feel that we're developing, we're improving in some way. And
1% of the day, it's something that you've got that book as well. If you can improve 1%, just 1% every day, at the end of that here, look where you are.
Yep. Every day you get a chance to improve, and then you look at other people's lives that are whinging and moaning about it, and you look at what they're doing. It's like, look, man, no wonder your life's not the biggest concern that you've got. Go and have a look in the mirror. Like it's not beating up on them. It's like, look at what you're doing. Like, have a look at the way that you're operating, and if you, right, that's to show you why. Right, that's the hard bit. Like we discussed with you, the hard bit is you don't want to see it, but if you look in the mirror, you will, and you recognise the issue, that's going to be hard, but you get a power from that, which means that you can change that and you can increase your standard. If you increase your standard, then you're going to leave behind these things that are causing you pain or causing you to feel that you're not growing. And if you do that process, which is hard, you're going to get something that is going to be better beyond your wildest dreams.
100%. That was a great episode, just to cover off some of the stuff. Like, don't fall into that trap that I did. If you are in business with somebody, or if you're starting out, like, don't just get everybody to do it at the start. Put the work in. Learn the business, learn everything that you need to know about that business, and then maybe further down the line, if you want to bring in staff, you have got that knowledge and understand to show these people what to do. And then if that drops out, you can still step in and do it. Because I was ready to give in, I was ready to throw the towel in, but grit, determination, and willpower to push on led me to the success that I've got today. So
I'd say one of the biggest things, like you were saying there, it made me think about Elon Musk. I was thinking, the people that work for Elon Musk, imagine what they're like. Nobody works harder than the boss, because he's getting after it, he's visible, he can be seen. Like, none of them are going, he doesn't deserve what he gets. Like, they're looking at him going, the fucking boss gets after it.
Yep.
You know, he's setting an example. His staff are like, hey, we're in.
You're putting the work in.
See, whatever because you're, whether you like it or not, you're the leader. And if you're the leader, you're setting the example. And if the standard drops, look at yourself. And Elon is setting that standard high. So fair play. Fair play for talking about it as well, because it's a lot of the things that people don't want to go into is the bomb sites and where they went wrong, and, you know, the pride.
I think it's important to speak about it. You see a lot of things online and on social media, all the wins that people are doing, but I think it's very, very important to pull yourself back, and if you want to help people, like, go through the stuff, the bad stuff that you've been through with them, to try and help them, you know. And speaking about it today on the podcast and the further podcasts that we'll be doing throughout the years, it's something that we want to do. We want to show people, listen, it's not all sunshine and rainbows there. I've been through that shit. So have you, probably.
100. But the thing that I can absolutely guarantee, there's no guarantees in life. Right? One thing that you can guarantee is at some point something will go fucking tits up. Right?
Still
Expect it. It will. But if you expect it and are prepared for it, and you set yourself up to be resilient and resist, you know, put yourself in the resistance where you're growing and developing and you're becoming a complete bulletproof boss, then you're going to get through it. Yep. There's very little that you can't get through, and that's what you want to be. And if that means that if the business is going well, push yourself in training. Mm-hmm. If the staff are doing great, then great, find it where you can pick up the pieces. If the staff are, you know, slacking a bit, go and lead and show them the higher standard. You know, be the leader, be the one that they look up to and go, yeah, that's be the hardest working in there. Yeah. Because that's where you set the example that people can admire and respect. Because that's what you want. You want to have people that respect you, not just that you're paying their wages.